alone.
Yeah,
he's the strongest person in the room.
She's always a strong woman.
Thank you.
But you know that my color code is, I always respect the color code. Rufai on fire! Rufai on fire! And your glasses, what's going on, Rufai? What's wrong with
Bola wants one of my Meta glasses. I can give him one.
Is this Meta?
As a government official, wake up on Monday morning, and like I've also asked Bola, you should provide my alleged suspension letter. You know, because he said it's suspended.
Was it the one that said so?
I think for the record, it's important to actually say that.
So they must provide my suspension letter.
I think I saw some. Let me see.
So Bola, I've challenged you. Nigerians, Bola, a government spokesperson that said I was allegedly suspended, must provide, or if he doesn't provide, it's an indictment on this government that the spokespeople of this government lie.
All right.
That's justice. So President Tinubu, tell Bola to provide my suspension letter. And if he wants a copy of my Meta glasses, I will give him one.
For the record, you were not suspended.
Never.
Please, you know, I'm an analog. Which one is called Meta glass?
Don't worry.
What is the Meta glass?
I'm sure Rotus has brought this story plenty times on business. Even the last time I saw him with one. Well, all right. Well, welcome back. Welcome back, Rufai. Your fans have missed you.
I miss them so much.
I hope you had a good time, really. Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin. What's trending in the Republic of Benin, discussing reactions to the attempted military coup, which was thwarted by the government after soldiers appeared on national television early Sunday morning, claiming to have seized power. A group of at least 8 soldiers, led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri, stormed the country's state television, announcing the removal of President Patrice Talon and the dissolution of all state institutions. The soldiers, identifying themselves as Military Committee for Refoundation, declared the suspension of the Constitution and all political party activities until further notice. They also claim to have closed the country's borders, resulting in unrest in parts of the country, with a group of demonstrators chanting "Down with Talon" and expressing support for the mutinous soldiers. Well, barely 12 hours after gunfire first rang out in several neighborhoods in Cotonou on Sunday, Benin President Patrice Talon announced that the coup had been thwarted, stating that the country's armed forces and National Guard remained loyal to the Republic, asserting that they stood firm, recaptured their positions, and cleared all resistance held by the mutineers. 14 people have been arrested in connection with the coup attempt. Well, this attempted coup adds Benin to a growing list of West African nations facing military takeovers. The timing of the coup is significant. Benin is preparing for a presidential election in April that would mark the end of President Talon's tenure after 9 years in power since 2016. And I'll take a post on X from Delta Wire. He wrote, "This trend will keep reoccurring amongst African states unless there is a massive international revolution that compels our leaders to start governing with fairness and equity until they start utilizing resources of the state for the welfare of the people. Africans will keep rising every day in whatever form, shape, or nomenclature until the people start seeing the dividends of democracy. They'll keep being rebellious. African leaders are the problem, and they evolve from amongst us. We're all culpable on this." Well, amid reactions to the failed coup attempt, the coup leader, Pascal Tigri, reappeared in a video which went viral on Sunday, stating that they undertook the mission to free Benin from the dictatorship of President Talon before going on to caution France to stay out of their internal affairs. While ECOWAS released a statement on X condemning the coup, describing it as an unconstitutional move, while Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that they stand in firm solidarity with the government and the people of the Republic of Benin. Subsequently, at the request of President Talon, Nigeria sent Air Force fighter jets and ground troops to take over Benin's airspace and help dislodge the coup plotters, eliciting more reactions. And I'll take this tweet from Chris, who wrote, well, actually, there was a statement that was sent out by Bayo Ononuga. If we can take that statement before I take Chris's tweet. But Ayo, I'd like your comment on what I've read so far with the re-emergence of that actual coup plotter who came out to say that France should stay away from their business. Yes, this is Bayo Ononuga's post on X. He wrote, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commended the gallantry of Nigeria's military on Sunday for responding swiftly to the requests by the government government of Benin Republic to save its 35-year-old democracy from coup plotters. Well, he went on to state that the Nigerian government acted on 2 separate requests from the government of Benin. First, by ordering fighter jets to enter the country and take over the airspace to help dislodge the coup plotters. And secondly, the authorities in Benin requested the deployment of Nigerian Air Force assets within Beninois airspace for surveillance and rapid intervention operations under Benin-led coordination, with Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyode, confirming that all the requests had been fulfilled. And, you know, I wanted to take that response from an ex-user. I'll take that response after I hear from you. I'd love your comments about what has been going on so far, with the fact that, you know, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had, you know, responded to this coup attempt swiftly, and the word swiftly had to be highlighted, really. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, so a number of things this morning. Number one is that Benin Republic is about the same age as Nigeria in terms of independence, gaining independence. Benin Republic gained independence on the 1st of August 1960. However, as you can tell, they haven't been able to fully enjoy the dividends of the democratic system of government they've adopted, you know, since gaining independence. And this, you would see the trend across different countries on the African continent, and particularly the West Africa region, whereby there have been a number of coups. In the Republic of Benin itself, only less than a year ago, 2 close associates of the president were indicted as, you know, a coup was foiled, and 2 close associates of the president were indicted and handed 20 years imprisonment for the attempted coup. A little over a year afterwards, we are now seeing another attempt of a coup. A number of things could have been said would be responsible, Ojy. Number one, of course, is the lack of strong institutions, the fact that the people do not believe that they are enjoying the dividends of democracy. Only last month, the president had, through the rubber stamp assembly, extended the tenure of presidency limits from 5 years to 7 years, and this was said to be preparing the grounds for his anointed candidate in the next cycle of election, which is meant to take place next year, April of 2026. So these are some of the factors that some people have highlighted as a reason for why their agitations and a small group of influential people, as was described by the foreign interior minister, have come together now to announce this coup. Thankfully, Nigeria rose up to the task as big brother. Dr. Abati said something earlier this morning which I agree with, because I actually took note of that when it happened, because one of the reasons, and number one, is Nigeria showing up as a big brother and still that influential force on the West African bloc, but also very importantly to sound a note of warning, because we have seen copycat coups along the West African region, that anybody, group, individual that wants to think or has thoughts around this kind of move should know that Nigeria would respond and respond swiftly, that we have a military that's able to counter any kind of coup attempt and would block it. Now, there have been conversations around the legality of Nigerians' movement, and there's been a broad conversation around this, but we'll see whether or not the president will transmit a letter to the Senate before 12 noon as the deadline given to be able to let, you know, to express his invasion, as it were, or help, because they said he received a letter. But again, what people are saying is that, so Nigeria is strong like this.
Let me tell you,
we should be able to do this. I want that same swiftly to be given to the way, you know, of course we know that terrorism is complicated, it's more complicated than this, but there are some certain areas. It means that we can swiftly arrest the bandits in the forest. We can swiftly get all these kidnappers. Nigeria has the power to do this.
Let me take the tweet about the idea of how Nigeria can swiftly respond. This is Chris, who wrote on X. Highlight the word swiftly. Interesting. So Nigeria has the capacity to swiftly defend democracy in another country, yet our democracy is in shambles. A democratically elected governor, Sim Fubara, was illegally removed. The current Senate president was imposed not too democratically elected. Terrorists are decimating our people and stealing their lands, and a brigadier general was gracefully killed by terrorists, etc. Well, at this point, I hope that the President of the United States can order the U.S. military to carry out military operations in Nigeria to flush out the terrorists swiftly. And, you know, that was a harsh response. No, I mean, I would call it, you know, it would appear harsh on television, but that's really the mindset of a lot of Nigerians who believe that these are the things that are going on in Nigeria. I'm hoping that Nigeria can actually also swiftly respond. Online, we also saw reports that Nigeria had bombed France. The invasion had occurred. We saw some videos that were posted online as well. From
France?
Bombed. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Bombed Benin. And I'll take this. That's one of the videos we saw from Cotonou with an actual, you know, time code from that country. And I'll take a post from investigative journalist David Hudeyi, who wrote, "I think Nigeria is officially over tonight. Bombing your neighbor because a white guy in Paris told you to. Carrying out airstrikes against a fellow African country because Emmanuel Macron wanted you to. Only Appetite South Africa ever did something like this. Well, meanwhile, we'll take this press statement before I come to you, Rufai. Let me come to you with that. And thank you for that highlight, because the reason I said bomb France was because a lot of people had been saying that the French president had intervened with that phone call that he made, telling the president that he was going to help with, security in Nigeria as well.
Okay, see, I might not support many things the government on ground does, but we can't pour on Nigeria's parade. It's not today that Nigeria has been investing heavily in securing our fellow West African brothers. We did that in Liberia. Over the years, between Liberia and Sierra Leone, we spent about $15 billion of our own money. So it's not today we've been doing that. The problems we had with it was that the president was supposed to notify the Senate about it. Secondly, the question we should now ask is, there's also a correlation with the case of Niger. That's okay. In the case of Niger, we didn't go in there because there were protests and everything, because of cultural ties and all of that. But the most important question we should ask is, what is leading to all this coup? African leaders themselves. Talon is not a say. See the protests. People were saying, Abba, Talon. Down with Talon. So a lot of people were not really in support of this man that had victimized a lot of people in this country. He has put in his finance minister as a likely successor now. Just on Saturday, the National Assembly in Benin Republic passed a law saying they were going to extend presidential term and things like that. So the leaders themselves have not crowned themselves in glory, and that's what we should keep talking about. If we keep having these Yahoo-minded leaders on the African continent, and once they get into power, they think life is all about them. And it's not only Talon. We could go back to the days of Matthew Kerekou. Kerekou also did the same too in Benin Republic. So when are we going to sit down with these leaders, Abba with these leaders? Just like Thomas Isidore Noah Shankara used to say back in the days, colonialism, Abba, imperialism, Abba. When are we going to say Abba with these bad leaders on the African continent? Because if we don't say that, the coup will continue to happen. Despite the fact that we say we do not support coup, we are totally against coup. The coups will continue to happen if we don't speak to against these leaders that are making the condition rife for these coups.
Like I rightly said, Dr. Abati, French President Emmanuel Macron over the weekend pledged to increase, French support for Nigeria in tackling terrorism and its array of security challenges. After a conversation with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Macron made this declaration in a post on X on Sunday, in which he stated that no one can remain in the sidelines of the fight in the country. And, really quickly on everything that we've discussed, so that we can sum this up, and then I'll move to the other stories.
Okay, first, let me talk geopolitics. Now, Nigeria is the most prominent country in West Africa. It's the big power in West Africa. Now, up north, you have Egypt. Down south, you have South Africa. So, in terms of geopolitics, Africa, the primary powers relate to Africa in terms of that tripod. Now, America still has its influence with Egypt. It seems to be losing influence with Nigeria. Nigeria is moving towards France. Nigeria is moving towards China and other partners. South Africa, America does not even have a good relationship with South Africa. Now, the subtext, in my view, is that you now see America trying to see how it can regain its foothold in West Africa. In West Africa, that has a part of it has gone in the direction of Russia, another part has gone in the direction of China. Nigeria is very friendly under this president with France. So President Macron also calls, he says he's having this solidarity with Nigeria. So it's the subtext that we should look at. And that is why it's important that Nigeria is now setting up a working group led by the NSA Ribadu, and we are talking to America, and they are talking about strategic partnership. The subtext of it is, I think America is trying to find a way to work its way back to regain its influence within this region. As for the coup in Benin, Republic of Benin, it was President Boni Yayi, former president of Republic of Benin, who used to refer to Republic of Benin as Nigeria's 37th state. And he used to refer to President Jonathan as my elder brother, and President Obasanjo as his father. That's how close we are, both in terms of culture, in terms of amity, and all of that. So that was why I said, you will say that President Tinubu has acted reasonably by intervening in that country. Not on the invitation of France. I have not seen where it was France that asked Nigeria to go to Cameroon. France does not have such powers. What the Ononuga statement quoted is that there are two requests from Republic of Benin.
I read out, yes.
Yes, I read that so two requests, and it was on the basis of that they acted. Two, President Tinubu may have said, look, we could suffer collateral damage if there is a coup next door. There could be demonstration effect and all of that. So he deployed the troops. So you may say that is reasonable. But does he have the authority to deploy our troops?
Those were the questions.
Air Force. Does he have the powers under the Constitution? And I say he does not. And that was why I said earlier that Section 305, sub 2 and 3 says, okay, even if he acts unilaterally within a period of 14 days, he has to seek the concurrence of the National Assembly of Nigeria. And that this money is early enough for him to quickly go to that National Assembly, call a meeting of the National Defense Council, and get the ratification of those bodies for deploying our troops.
Yes.
Because it is we, you and I, that will pay for the troops that were sent there. You know,
which is why you feel...
And Nigeria is a sovereign country.
Right.
So he needs to get that concurrence if they are going to remain there. And if the Senate says no, the National Assembly says no, as they did in the example of Niger, then those troops will have to return immediately.
So even even when the president of the other country requested for him to have invaded,
he will have to go through the National
So you see the reason why people on social media, investigative journalists like David Hundeyin will say that Nigeria should not have acted that way. People are now even saying, so why are we condemning the the invasion that Trump had said that he was going to?
No, that's a different.
I'm just saying those are the response. That's the response.
It's not intellectually connected.
No, why not? If Trump said that if Nigeria does not keep its house in order, we will send troops on ground. That's all he said. And then the whole country went, berserk.
Now Trump will need to get the concurrence of Congress.
Which is why he has said...
he has to... No, he has not declared war yet.
Did he get the concurrence of Venezuela in the airstrikes he did in Venezuela?
He's still doing body language.
Ojy has a point. Ojy is right. Ojy is right.
This is the conversation.
It's the same conversation. No, she is.
But why is it not different?
It is the same conversation.
Why is it not different?
Dr. Abati.
Which is what you're saying now.
He cannot declare war.
Dr. Abati. No. The Congress is now tackling Trump on those airstrikes now. That's just it. So it's the same conversation.
No, you are correct. He has not declared war.
It's not a case of declaration of war. Openly bombing another person's territorial ground. It's not a declaration of war.
It's Nigeria bombing.
Do you know he has not
bombing Republic of Benin?
Oh, did they bomb targets in Republic of Benin?
No, are they bombing?
Is that not bombing of targets of Republic? No,
the circumstances are different.
Still on, I really doubt that they are different, but still on security. The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, hosted a U.S. congressional delegation as part of ongoing talks around security in Nigeria. The delegation included Representative Mario Diaz-Balart, as well as Riley Moore, who were sent on a fact-finding mission. Ribadu expressed optimism that the engagement will deepen trust, collaboration, and shared commitment to peace and security. Well, in a post on X, Riley Moore posted a picture of himself standing with Reverend Wilfred Chikpa Anaigbe, the bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi in Benue, with a caption that he came to Nigeria in the name of the Lord and on behalf of the American people. And this is what we are seeing online, that the conversation has begun. Now, this is the rep that is leading the investigation. He was sent by Donald Trump to actually lead that investigation in Congress. And it's good to see that Nuhu Ribadu and even the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, they all met and the conversation has begun. So hopefully, this is, I believe, the right way, the right step, the right sort of diplomacy that we need to see in tackling this sort of insecurity that we see in the nation. Because we have discussed this story at length, I'd like to take another story now.